Alright guys, so today would be, I guess, part 2 or the power testing with the 457 conversion kit on the Zeus. So we started out with the Zeus 16-inch 72 cal, and we've converted this to the 457. And so we've got the longer air tube, 22-inch-ish barrel, the lock nut, barrel lock nut, and the inner sleeve that does the diameter reducing. So yesterday's video we did the installation, just a little bit of shooting. Today we're going to be shooting numbers to see where our power curve is, and we're going to shoot more weights and get an idea. And then on the third video will be the outdoor video where we're checking accuracy. So this also, if you go to Terry Fox's website, foxairpower.com, I did not realize this, but these are also, they have arrows for this. This is not just a bullet conversion kit, it's also you can arrow conversion kit. So on the website they have 457, 50 cal, and 51. So you've got 3 different calibers that you can shoot, and I guess 3 different arrow setups for this. So you can not only shoot this with bullets, but you can shoot those strange arrows. They got the thing in the back and the thing in the front, so the arrow is centered out of the bore of this rifle. So since I'm Mr. Hollow Point, I'm not Mr. Howard Hill, so I'm not shooting arrows, but we are doing an assortment of bullets, and we'll have the big chart in the video showing the speeds. We're going to do a 5-shot spread, even though you can do more than 5 shots. 5 to me is, you know, by number 5, the pressure and speed is dropped enough on the heavier stuff that I'm not even going to bother. So there always has to be a stopping point somewhere. And I always try to show you everything without just wasting. So that is it, guys. We're going to set this up and start the boring side of the video, which is just me shooting a lot of lead. So hang out if you want. Fast forward, go get some coffee and a biscuit, and then come back and catch the last 5 minutes of the video for the pertinent information. Again, Terry Fox at Fox Air Power sent me this to convert, play with, and demonstrate. And of course, I'm Robert Vogel, aka Mr. Hollow Point, aka the King of Erectile Dysfunction. So anything about bullets, contact me. Anything about the gun parts, you know, air rifle accessories, contact Terry Fox at Fox Air Power. He is also a one-stop shop. I have to throw that in. So there's scope, rails, rings, bullets, pieces, parts, suppressors. He carries everything. So depending if you're looking for the whole setup or just one item, he's got it all. So enough said. Let's go shoot some lead.
What a day! Come on, we can't get out that way.
Now, gentle folks, remember that anytime that you're going to do a series or a session of shooting, it's always best to have some nice coffee. So that's what we're having. And the noise you may hear coming from the upstairs is the wife has her Spanish novellas on. And apparently in a Spanish soap opera, all they seem to do is scream at each other and call each other witch, pendejo, bruja, vieja, and a bunch of other words that I'm not sure of. But I hear a lot of what I think is swearing in Spanish. Everybody seems to hate each other. There's always an illegitimate child, a person who they thought was dead, a twin who disappeared at childbirth, a witch, a maid who's always being victimized, and some poor people from some third world pueblo that gets victimized by the rich, handsome playboy. So it's kind of the same scenario. You don't need to really understand interpretations to figure out the plot. It's pretty interesting if you like that type of stuff. So, if you hear screeching going on like roosters are raping a pigeon, that's her novella. So, I got my 2 tanks of air fired up, 4,500 psi, cycling through the booster pump. So I'm just going to open it up and fill it. Remember I said before, with that tight O-ring that's in here, it takes a little bit to get this filled up. You think you're there, you close it. Like I was at 4,500 psi, close the valve, I'm at 39. It's a very, I don't want to say a slow fill, but it's the O-ring is so darn tight that you have to just let the pressure do its thing to squeeze past the O-ring to get your fill pressure where you want it to be. So right now it says 4,700, and I close the valve, and it's dropping down to 45. You see, that's the only headache that I have with, you know, this style of check valve is, you know, it is what it is. And it's the same on all AEA rifles. So whether you're using a probe, the air goes through the probe, still squeezes past that same check valve setup. So it doesn't make a difference what AEA product you have, that's the way it's going to act. So, just FYI, okay? Start with the 250s. Man, it is a little awkward. It's such an open space pushing that little bullet in. But you know, it is what it is. Now I know these come in 2 other calibers. I'm itching to swap out and see how those work out. All right, I fire in the hole. .1033. Remember, this still has the same hammer and spring for the Zeus 72. So it's pounding it. Okay. 5 shots.
What a day.
Okay, now the 300 grain. And again, what I test indoors may not always be what I test outdoors, because the accuracy is more important than foot-pounds of energy. The indoors is just to figure out the power, the curve. You know, is the barrel coming loose? Is there things we need to know? It's better to discover it now while we're comfortable than out in the baking sun or the snow or the rain. So we got our 4,500 in the gun. I'm going to do the 300 grain, you know, pretty much rinse and repeat.
Come here, Larry. Look. So what? That's the ocean. We can't go that way. What a day.
Okay, 333. So I am able to, with this big opening here, I'm able to really put in my big long range slugs. Basically the stuff that pretty much I saved for shooting in an Air Force Texan, I can shoot in this conversion kit. Whether or not the speeds are where we want them to be is another story, but the fact that this opens up a whole new travel, because magazine fed rifles are always, you're limited to these short bullets. This is allowing me to take off all limitations. So that's what we're playing, and we're going to try and again show you in the charts to see whether or not you think it's acceptable for you. But all these big bullets I have killed deer and pigs with. Okay.
That's not the same day.
So we've gotten up to the 520 now, the super long. That one I shoot out the Texan, and I am starting to keyhole. So I'm thinking we've hit the maximum length. I've exceeded the maximum length of the twist rate of the barrel. So I took the suppressor off to make sure there's no clipping going on. And we'll put this on. And we'll shoot one plain barrel just to confirm. Yeah, it's not looking good. Yeah, the 520 is definitely on the keyhole road. It's, you know, going sideways. So, the 385, oh, the 415 is the heaviest that I've been able to shoot. This gives me good accuracy. So, this is part of the testing. This is the stuff that I do, so you don't have to. Okay. We've shot all our weights. We're good. So you guys are always asking me what type of bullet trap, you know, crazy setup do I have down here in my basement. So this is a box that I made years ago. Let me get this off. So what you can see is I've got a piece of angled aluminum behind there, and then I've got these 2x4s with like 6-foot segments of chain hanging down, you know, and they're segment, you know, augmented or offset, you know. And then this is an old truck mud flap. So as the bullets are hitting, they're gonna ricochet in here, and you know, even if they make it back to the you know, the plate in the back, the bullet is slowed down enough that you know, it's reducing you know, the speed. And I got this idea from watching a South Park episode. See, then the bullets, the lead just gets down in there, and I'll dig it out at the end of the year. But it reminds me of them damn hippies and their beaded curtains, and I was like, if I had a bunch of beaded chains in a row, if that would slow the bullet down. And it does a pretty decent job. I got the other bullet trap, but that seems to make more of a mess on the ricochet instead of going in like it's supposed. It could be because I'm just, 15 yards is too close. I don't know. But I've gone back to this, and then this kind of helps keep the, if something does splash back, it prevents it. So that is what I have here at the end of 15 yards. And this will stop, a 44 Magnum. I mean, I shoot the 82 cal, the 72, all the way down to the 22s, and it'll stop a 1588 grain out of the 82 cal. It'll easily stop a 44 Magnum, easily. So it does its job.
That's the same day.
What are you taking a shower this time of the day for? Come on.
All right, fellas. So, here's the things that I've discovered in shooting the upgrade kit. Almost all of it's good. We got good numbers, 250 grain all the way up to the 520, but the 520 keyholes. So we've discovered that going past the 415 grain, that's about the length of a bullet you can shoot that this twist rate likes or refuse to work with after that. I tried on that last 520, I tried, the camel toe Harris and a Neil just to see if changing it had anything, if it was clipping or anything like that, and it's not. Because then I took them off and I shot 3 without, and it's not keyholing as bad, but it's still keyholing. It's just keyholing with a little more accuracy without the suppressor. So the suppressor is helping it keyhole worse, but it's bad to begin with. So, I can't blame the suppressor on that. The only other thing I noticed, like I said before, with these big bores, they have a tendency to want to unscrew themselves. So I kept tightening the camel toe, and then eventually I noticed that the lock nut had vibrated or was loose, and that does affect your point of aim is changing. So it's another reason why I like a barrel band, because it really grips and helps prevent that vibration from just unscrewing as quickly. But you definitely need to throw a monkey wrench, something heavy on here for the lock nut to tighten down. But you got to remember, the lock nut is tightening the inner sleeve that goes into the breech block. The barrel is screwing into that inner sleeve. So the barrel itself, I hate to say it, but you got to throw a monkey wrench on there or put Loctite on to keep that from wanting to unscrew out of the sleeve. So it almost might be worthy of Loctiting it into the sleeve so it can't come out, and then when the sleeve screws in, then using a monkey wrench on the lock nut. That's a possibility, because the sleeve is only fitting, I believe, for this one caliber. So that would be my suggestion on that. It's not a big deal. It's just something, every time you're tightening it down, you're going to change the point of aim. So, you want to get that nipped in the bud early. But all these big bores, I've had barrel issues where they want to, because it is so intense, it wants to unscrew itself out of the breech block. So, again, a good barrel band helps, negate that. Bullet-wise, I'll put the big chart in here, because I did the quickie chart on the previous video. And I'll put in the big chart here so you can see, you know, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 different weights. And then, of course, outdoors, the accuracy will tell us on which ones are working best. On the average, everything is starting out at 500, you know, almost 600 foot-pounds plus on the first shot, from the 250 all the way up to the keyholing 520s. So, and then, you know, because it's unregulated, each shot is dropping. I'm just going to round it up and say, let's say it's a 45 feet per second less on each shot. The shape of the bullet, the way it seals inside the barrel also plays on your air consumption, your resistance, and how it works. Now, the one weird thing that I'm noticing is, because the barrel stops inside, you've got the 72 cal diameter, and then it goes in like a 1/4 inch, and then you've got the shoulder for the 457. So when you push the bullet in, it's kind of sticking out until you put your finger in and push it all the way in. And if you look, I mean, it's past, because the air is coming up from the bottom and then going this way. So I'm not quite sure, you know, if you need to push the bullet further in with your finger, or you just leave it as it is. Some of the bullets were sticking out a little bit, some of them, you know, but once I pushed them, they slid in further. And I don't know how that's going to play. Again, these are things I'm learning and I'm sharing with you. So I'm not sure if this was more or less designed more for arrows and it can shoot bullets, or if it's bullets and it can shoot arrows. But accuracy out there at 50, 7,500 yards is where, you know, the rubber hits the road, or meets the road, or however they say that. But that's what we're going to test out. Hopefully, you know, in the next week or so. Yeah, I got several videos that I owe you guys on. That, I think, is it. Anything that happens on these guns, I always share with you in the videos, so you understand it's not just, you know, you're doing something wrong. It's the nature of just how things are built, and they go together. No negativity so far. Nothing bad about this, other than it's just, it's slightly different, and that's why I'm trying to figure things out. I actually was thinking on this lock nut here, if I put 2 sides on a grinder so I had a nice flat spot, then I could just put a nice not a monkey wrench, but a crescent wrench on there and crank it that way. And then just get a little bluing and, you know, re-blue the surface where you scratched it up. Otherwise, you got to throw a monkey wrench on there. And I know in one of my tackle boxes I have a small monkey wrench for all AEA products, because it seems to be barrel lock nuts or something that always need a little more addressing and tightening down. So, again, nothing bad, nothing you can't deal with, but if you know about it in advance, it's not going to surprise you later, and you waste a bag of bullets as your accuracy's getting worse and worse, and you realize it's like, oh, my lock nut's loose, my barrel's wobbling a little bit. You know, if you knew that in advance, you wouldn't have to, you know, you wouldn't be surprised. It's easier to address now than deal with later. So, that's it, gentlemen. Like I said, video just on numbers isn't too exciting, but now you got the numbers. All right? You have a wonderful day.